Joining us via Skype all the way from Australia is Ian Croft, and he is the founder, creator, and editor-in-chief of Autism OZ magazine. Hi, Ian. How are you?
A very good morning to you from Australia.
Yes, and for us here, it's about 10:30 in the morning Pacific time here in the United States. What time is it there in Australia?
Here in Australia, it's 1:30 in the morning. It's pitch black and raining here in sunny Perth.
Well, you are a trooper for getting up at this hour of the morning to join us to tell us about your wonderful magazine. So I really appreciate you being here to talk with us. This magazine is a great resource. It's based there in Australia, but it's an magazine, so we can get it anywhere, right?
It's a digital magazine, so it was designed for the iPad originally and works beautifully on the iPad with embedded video, audio, and web links. But from that, we created a digital download, which will work on iPhone, iPod, Androids, Macs, Windows. Works anywhere.
Wonderful. And so you were mentioning before we came on the air that you've already put out 4 magazines, 4 versions of it, and you're working on the 5th. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a monthly magazine. So we put the first one out at the end of January, beginning of February. We've just put out the May issue, and working full on in June and July already.
Well, and I love the fact that you take on different issues, sort of the theme of the magazine. Tell us some of the themes you've already covered.
So in the first 4 issues, we have looked so far at the instances of bullying of children on the spectrum across the world. When I started looking into the figures, the numbers are quite outrageous. In the US, the UK, which is where I'm from originally, and here in Australia, it's around 62 to 65% of children on the spectrum in mainstream schools are being bullied, which is totally outrageous. Any child going to school has a 1 in 5, 20% chance of being bullied. That, again, numbers are quite startling, but a 62 to 65%, and that's across America, the UK, here in Australia, and it's typical figures for around the world, which is just not on. Yeah. And we got a lot of personal stories from our readers and stories from parents and experts across the world in how to sort of tackle bullying and how to approach your school if your child is being bullied. We've also looked at the training of the police and first responders. I had a lot of parents talk to me and write to me saying that my child is now 6'2" tall, but he wanders around the streets and he's very sort of verbal, and they're very worried that if their child came in contact with the police, would the police understand his autism? Would he have issues? And sadly, if any of us look around the web about instances of children on the spectrum coming into contact with the police, we soon find horror stories of children being dragged to the police station. So we had the lawyer of a young girl in the UK who at 17 was arrested and kept in jail for 10 hours and DNA tested because the police thought she was drunk and disorderly, even though her mother was telling the police throughout the incident that her child had autism, and even went down to the police station and was totally ignored. And the child was totally traumatized. So we had a woman who's based in Atlanta, Georgia, who trains the police and her local area how to deal and to understand autism.
Yeah.
Because it's very interesting. Across the world, we give our police training in how to recognize PTSD in soldiers coming back from Afghanistan, from Iraq. Mm-hmm. But autism, particularly with the figures and the numbers that we have, they're just not getting trained in how to recognize it or even have any understanding. It's cuff them and drag them down to the police station.
Yeah.
In our May issue, we look at siblings.
Yes.
Whether it's multiple siblings on the spectrum or child one with, one without. How are parents coping. We had the views from twins, from sisters, from mothers, and from sibling organizations across the world, giving their best advice, their best experience of how to cope and how to give, and it's an Australian phrase here, but how to give everybody in the family a fair go.
Yeah.
There's so much time and effort put into the one or two children, but how do you maintain that every child in your family gets a fair go? And next month in June, we're looking at single parents.
Love it.
Which is already, I've got the most amazing stories from families across the world who are bringing up children on the spectrum alone.
Yeah. And I think it's so important to note, because you're based in Australia, and you know, that's all well and good, but you're really taking a global approach with this magazine and looking at autism in all different lights and all different places around the world, correct?
Well, we took the decision on coming up with a magazine that we treat it like getting your roof fixed. And if you were getting the roof fixed on your house, you wouldn't just get the yellow pages and stick in a pin and find a building firm in the hope that you'd get the one that would be correct or the one that would come to your house and do a great job. We take advice from people in our community. And when you get advice from people across the autism community, autism knows no boundaries. It knows no international borders. It's a worldwide phenomenon, a worldwide epidemic. So if any of our readers, any of our community say this or that sort of therapy or expert across the world is doing great work and can pass on their knowledge across the world, then we take and share that knowledge, because we have this belief that we're stronger when we work together, and in sharing our knowledge, we inspire and uplift those on a similar path.
I totally agree. And where can people find the magazine so they can subscribe, Ian?
Yeah, the easiest way to find it is to just go via our website, which is autism, and we all know how to spell that, oz.com. So autismoz.com. There are two ways of subscribing. So if you have an iPad, there's a specific free app that you can download with your iTunes and get the magazine and subscribe to the magazine on a monthly basis via the iPad. I'm just going to lift my puppy into view.
Oh.
I have a 4-month puppy that's been chewing on my hand and my foot throughout this interview. She's just woken up and is now full of beans. Anyway, let me continue. So,
absolutely.
Everybody now will be thinking they just want to look at the puppy rather than talk autism. But so autismoz.com will take you the way. We also created a digital download. So if you have an iPhone, here's my iPhone, we can suddenly make the magazine appear in your iBooks on your iPhone, which is a fabulous way of reading the magazine. Just take it anywhere. Because the great thing within the magazine is not only do we have articles, content, words, we share pictures, videos, audio of our autism journeys. There we go. So here it is in the iPhone.
Right.
Easy, simple. And in terms of subscription and pricing, it was never about making money. It's all about sharing, as we say, sharing this collective experience. And if anybody's got experience how to stop a 4-month puppy biting my hand, that would be great. But it's about sharing the collective experience of the experts, the global experts within the autism community. And it's very interesting. I talk to scientists and therapists all the time, and I keep telling them the real experts live it 24/7.
Absolutely.
They're living with it because they have autism, or their children, siblings have autism.
Well,
and they are great experts within our community. And some of our writers have been involved with autism for 40, 50 years.
Absolutely. Well, it's amazing what you're doing, and I see and hear that you're being attacked by a puppy. And we're almost out of time, but I wanted to take just a second, Ian, to talk about why this mission for you, because you're a dad, but you don't have children on the autism spectrum, but this is a very personal mission for you. Why did you take this on?
Well, one, I was sort of asked to look into this by friends and family that do have children on the spectrum. I used to be a journalist with the British Broadcasting Corporation for 23 years. So I'm trained as a journalist in TV, radio, and online. And obviously you can see I've not been trained as a dog handler. and so they asked me to look into it. In terms of my own personal story, I have two alive children now, two present children, a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, who, as I said, one of them's asleep in my bed, and the dog was fast asleep until she suddenly woke up and is now wanting to be part of this conversation.
She wants to be a star. I say give in to it. Let her be a star.
Yeah, no, if you just sit quietly. The issue that brings me to child welfare, to want to help raise children reach their full potential, is 8 years ago, my first child, my son Riley, was killed in hospital due to hospital negligence on behalf of two errant midwives who basically made every wrong decision they could and took every wrong decision they could.
It's a tragic story.
And if people ever Google me, and there is information on our site about that, I sometimes tell people it's easy to read about me than for me to tell you, else I'll make you cry. But an event like that, losing a child, changes your perspective across the whole of your life in what you've done and in going forward. I carried my own child to the hospital morgue because it was my responsibility, because I didn't want a porter to do that. I said at the time that I would have changed position with Riley. I'd still do that now, 8 years on, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we talk about it being 1:30 in the morning here in Australia, and I'm staying up to do your interview, but I'm staying up usually at this time talking to people in California, Hawaii, Canada, wherever it is, to get that best information to share with the global community, to help them with, to help and support families with autism. I have and could counsel parents who have lost children suddenly through a sudden infant death or issues like ours. I'm sort of taught to do that now. But if I did it 24/7, then I'd be thrown into trauma continually.
Yeah.
With helping with autism, I can put that energy, that driving force of Riley's death into work that means something. I truly believe that we have the ability to help and support a global community and a growing global community with the information that we share, with the spirit that we share, with even just the tips and advice that we share in the way that we share it. It's a resource that there isn't an awful lot out there, or there is too much out there. When you just had the diagnosis, if you go on the internet and put in autism into Google, talk about oversensitized, there's just so much. And what we try and do is boil down, like making gravy, the best advice from those that have lived it and those that are living the day-to-day experience.
Well, it's an amazing mission, Ian. You're an amazing dad and an amazing man. I, for one, thank you. You're doing a great job. And I want to encourage everybody to subscribe to the magazine so they can go to www.autismoz.com to get started, or look it up on their iTunes for their iPad, correct?
That's it. It's Autism Oz iMagazine in iTunes. But if you go to the autismoz.com, there's a link there straight away to iTunes. You can find it out. And in terms of pricing, we made the price less than the price of a cup of coffee.
There you go.
So it's only, in terms of Australian dollars, it's only sort of 44 Australian dollars a year to subscribe, which is about $3.60 an issue. And I think in Australian dollars, that's about $41 a year at the moment to subscribe. So
very affordable for a wonderful resource.
Coffee and much cheaper than dog treats, which obviously I could do with right now.
Well, Ian, we have to let you go, and we hope that you'll get some good sleep tonight. And our thoughts are with you, and thank you for the incredible job that you're doing.
Thank you so much. And if there are any dog trainers anywhere nearby, do also
we'll forward them
send messages.
And stay in touch with us, because we'd love to have you on the show again.
We shall do. And if any of your viewers, subscribers want to get hold of the May issue of the magazine, I've sent it through to Autism Live, and we're more than happy for you to send the May issue out to your audience.
Cool.
Whoever requests it, then take a look at it, have a see.
Great.
If you like it, subscribe. Also, pass it on. Share
Okay.
the experience. We are all about taking that collective knowledge and sharing the information. Because if we change the life of one family by giving them a solution, giving them the key that can help their child, then we change the life of a whole family.
Well, you're on. If anybody who's watching...
If one piece of advice changes that, they can save a family thousands of dollars in terms of therapy, thousands of hours in terms of looking and researching, trying to find the way through in their journey. We understand all the journeys are different, but if we can inspire and help in any way, that's our aim.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and good luck with that puppy. You've got your hands full, don't you?
Much.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.